All right, welcome back to Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard, and it's time to go to Mariposa. Let's bring in my good buddy, Bob Borchard from Bet's Gold Coin. Bob, how's it going?
Absolutely awesome.
Nice to see you in Old Town Mariposa today.
Where's your hat?
Who's with you today?
Where's your hat?
I don't have to wear a hat yet.
Oh, I brought Sheldon Ball.
Sheldon Ball, welcome to the Buzz, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheldon is a member of our Masonic Lodge in Mariposa County.
And may I add, he might just be the best dressed guest that you've ever had on the Buzz.
Well, he might be. But he asked about wearing the regalia and talking and representing the Masons and the Masonic Lodge. And the reason I'm doing this is that, as you know, we have some historical bases in Mariposa County. In terms,
everywhere you turn in Mariposa is historical.
We have one of the oldest fraternal organizations in the country, in the world. And they were established in Mariposa County 163 years ago.
Now, 163 years ago, I'm not the best with math, but that's pretty close to the gold rush time.
It is.
It is, yes.
Okay, and we're talking about the Masonic Lodge. For the people at home that don't know what the Masonic Lodge is all about, Sheldon, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Masons go back in history to the building of the great cathedrals and the temples and castles in Europe in the Middle Ages. And that's where the term Masons comes from. And it became it was like a trade union or a guild. And later they started accepting non-Masons or non-stone Masons in. That's where the accepted came from. So we have free and accepted Masons. And Masonry came to the United States in the 1700s. It flourished. Many of the members of the government and the founding fathers were Masons. In fact, over half of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were Masons.
That's pretty cool right there.
As population spread west, especially with the gold rush to California, Masonry came with it. And the Grand Lodge of Masons was established in California right after statehood in 1851. Our lodge, Mariposa number 24, was a 24th lodge that was constituted in the state, and we were constituted in 1851.
Well, Mariposa at this point, population-wise, not really a big city, but back then Mariposa was really big, bustling area. And is that why the Masons went there?
Masons actually came into a lot of the small communities, mainly for brotherhood and for the people to have something to do. Our lodge was established, and in fact, we are one of what's called a lunar lodge. We were established so that Masons could travel to and from the lodge on the full moon of the month. And we were also what's called a roving charter. In other words, we can meet anywhere in the county. We don't have to meet in our lodge room.
And they would travel around to the different mining camps and hold their meetings. You have to understand, we had no street lights. There was law and order. Civilization didn't exist in the early mining camps, and so these fraternal organizations, the Masonic Lodge, the Odd Fellows,
Is brothers looking out for brothers?
Exactly.
and families,
yes.
I've seen some television shows that have given some perceptions of these fraternal organizations like they have some kind of power or secret whatever. But the reality is
they're cultish or something.
Right. But the reality is that these people, these men, the founders of our community, they had deep principles. They created civilization in this wild country, and they brought rules of order. They also brought fraternal types of relationships. They took care of each other. They took care of their communities. Well, some of the principles of the Masons are.
Well, as you mentioned, they are love and care for each other, love and care for all the creatures that we deal with, a belief in a supreme being, and taking care of widows and orphans.
The educational, the group itself still plays an important role in our community. 160 years down the road, and the Masonic Lodge contributes heavily to our education. We have the scholarship program.
We have scholarship programs. We have annually we have a teacher recognition night where we recognize the outstanding teachers in our community, and we host a dinner for that. And
Now, can anybody be a Mason?
yes.
Anyone can be a Mason, and if someone out there is thinking, you know what, this sounds pretty good, I think I want to check this out. What would a Mason do today?
You have to ask a Mason to be one. We can't go out and say, would you like to be a
No
member of our
recruiting.
lodge? No recruiting. Yeah, it has to be of your own free will and accord.
Okay, and what would they do as a Mason?
We have we go through some learning periods, which we call degrees. We have the 3 degrees in our local lodge, first, second, and third degree, where you learn about the history of Masonry and what it's all about. And if you elect to go on beyond there, there are several branches of Masonry beyond our local lodge, which we call our Blue Lodge. There's a Scottish Rite and the York Rite. And in those, you can go on up to the 32nd degree. And then beyond that is, if you so elect to do so, you can go into the shrine. And the Shriners, you've all probably seen them in parades and doing fun things like that. But they also do a lot of benevolent things too, such as the Shriners Hospitals, the Shriners Burn Centers, and those sorts of things.
Okay.
The thing that I think that I wanted to do this show about, when I started putting this together, you know, we talk a lot about what makes Mariposa unique, the community, the culture.
Mm-hmm.
When you live in Fresno, when you live in Modesto, when you live in San Francisco, you know, these groups, these organizations exist, but they're not as obvious, they're not as
Prevalent.
conspicuous. They're not part of your everyday organization. In Mariposa, these organizations play a really prominent role in the day-to-day lives of our communities. They contribute to, you know, through their order, they contribute to their various community operations and organizations. They do, you know, like the school services. The fraternal orders in our community essentially are the fabric of our community. They're the culture, the keeper of the culture, and the values. And I think that's what sets us apart. As small town America, we talk about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when you think about what it is that creates that character, that quality, in living in a rural area like Mariposa, it's organizations like the Masonic Lodge. I know we're going to be running short of time. Sheldon has brought a couple of things that I think have some really cute significance, and could we talk a little bit about the hat? Maybe.
Okay.
I like the hat.
Okay.
Is this part of of your get-up here?
I might point out that the master of the lodge wears the top hat.
Are you the master?
I am a past master. I was master of my lodge when we lived in Fillmore, and I was master in 1982.
You make me want to go play Monopoly.
I am an officer in the Mariposa Lodge now. I have been an officer about every year I've been there.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone wear a top hat so well. And this one right here?
Yeah. This is my past master's apron. Each of the officers in the lodge wears an apron that describes his particular station. The aprons were worn originally by stonemasons and to keep their clothing from being soiled, and they were designated by the way in which they wore their aprons.
And this one right here?
This one is a special apron. This is an exact replica of the apron that George Washington wore when he was in the Masonic Order.
George
And
Washington was a Mason?
George Washington was a very famous Mason.
Wow.
And this is the apron that he wore when he laid the cornerstone for our nation's capital in 1780 or 1793, I believe it was.
So did you learn that with the Masons, or do you already know that?
I learned a lot through the Masons.
I bet you do. Okay, Sheldon, thank you very much for coming on the Buzz. But don't you go anywhere, Bob, because we have some more Mariposa to go, and I can't wait to talk about this olive oil coming up next.
And I have to tell you a little bit about a football game coming up.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in the next segment. Don't you guys go away, because we're going to stay in Mariposa for this advertising break, and we'll be right back.